now we will discuss about the individual checklist. We'll not discuss all the checklists, but the very few checklists we'll discuss which are very frequently used. Okay, so but before that we will discuss about that what are the different types of analytical studies. So analytical studies, they are of two types, that is the experimental studies and observational studies. Experimental or interventional studies. So experimental studies or interventional studies are the studies which are conducted for to see the effect, efficacy or safety of any drug or a treatment or a procedure where we are administering any intervention to the patient. So that is known as experimental or intervention study. Then second type of studies are the observational studies, where the observations are made without giving any intervention to the participants, and they are known as observational studies or the behavioral studies, in which we recruit the participants and then we observe them for a certain period of time to see the effect of any like any situation or any variable, any risk factor or any drug on which they are already taking that drug. Means we are not giving them that drug, they are already taking that drug. Okay, then so experimental studies or the interventional studies, they are of two types, uncontrolled or controlled trials. So when the studies are done by using any control group, then they are known as trials without a control group or comparison. So that those are known as when we are not using any control group. So those are known as uncontrolled trials, and uncontrolled trials are the trials with a control group for comparison, when we are dividing the participants into two groups, and to one group we are administering the control for comparison. So that is known as the controlled trials. Then control trials, they are again divided into two types, non-randomized and randomized studies. So non-randomized studies are the studies when the subjects are allocated to an intervention or control group, but without randomization method. So by not using the randomization methods, when subjects are allocated to intervention, like who will receive the intervention, then who will receive the control. So that is known as the non-randomized studies. And randomized studies are the studies when the subjects are randomly allocated to an intervention, when the subjects, they are divided into two groups, and then randomly it is decided that who will get the intervention and who will get the control. So that is known as randomized trials or RCTs. So generally the clinical designs or the clinical studies are of many types, but these are the two basic designs which are followed. Then observational studies. So observational studies are of three types: case control, cohort, and cross-sectional studies. Okay, so in detail about cross-sectional, case control, and cohort studies we'll discuss when we will discuss the strobe guidelines which are used for reporting observational studies.